Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wench Bench, where friends sit and talk about fabulous fictional females and how their stories have influenced us throughout our lives. My name is Fonda.
And my name is Alison.
Today, Alison and I are doing a movie review. It's been one in the works for a while. We're going to be talking about the Barbie movie, which came out in July.
A long time ago.
So we're recording this end of the year.
Yeah, which is good because now you should probably have seen it because you're probably going to have to have seen it in order to keep along because we're not going to be doing a lot of explaining.
And no spoiler free stuff here. Okay.
No.
A lot of spoilers if you haven't. So
I have a lot of opinions.
As Alison does, I made no notes because I just want to live in my memories and talk about it with her. Please stay tuned, though, because there will be actually a part 2 for this, which we will talk about at a different date. But let's get started with a synopsis.
Yes. The movie follows stereotypical Barbie, played by Margot Robbie, as she leaves the seemingly perfect Barbie land to venture into the real world. She must discover the source of her newfound existential dread and the reason for her change from perfect to not as perfect. Tagging along with Barbie is Ken, played by Ryan Gosling. Having spent his life being nothing more than a footnote in Barbie's life, he finds the patriarchy that is present in the real world to be an intriguing and liberating experience. They each must find a sense of self-worth and purpose on their own. Ta-da!
Ta-da! So, first of all, I love the film. I don't think it's perfect, but I fucking love the film.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna say this at the very top.
Okay.
Because there's gonna be a lot of
Allison's opinions.
There's gonna be a lot of things that I say that are gonna make it sound like I don't enjoy this movie. I fucking loved this movie.
I've seen it 3 times.
I saw it twice in theater. I saw it once at a drive-in, and I now own it and have watched it again. I fucking love this movie for all of its flaws, for all of the things that we're gonna talk about. I enjoyed every moment of it.
I like the
dark.
cast.
The cast is incredible. I think this movie suffered from being as popular as it was. So I think these people set out to make kind of a dark comedy, sort of social commentary movie where they were just sort of poking fun and having a good time. And then when it came out and all of a sudden it got all this fanfare and all these things where they're like, everybody has to see this movie. It's a feminist masterpiece.
Barbenheimer.
Like oh my God. Like it just got so blown out of proportion and everybody started being like such huge fans of it. You are then seen as a villain for saying like, oh, well, there's some problems, but it's like a movie can have problems and still be awesome.
Yeah.
Movies from a different point of view deserve to be written, deserve to be seen. The fact that it's a movie that made as much money as it did, written and directed by a woman, I'm pretty sure Margot Robbie produced it. Like, it is an incredible film, what it achieved in like showing the kinds of movies that society and people are interested in seeing can be different.
Yeah.
And not just like what we currently end up being bombarded with, which I think is showing considering that Aquaman recently came out and holy shit is it tanking.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Because people are tired of watching superhero movies about the exact same storyline over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I think this movie showed that we do want something different and something kind of weird. And so I think they succeeded at making a weird dark comedy.
Even though it's so colorful.
Even though it's so bright, which I think helps with...
Oh, for sure. Like, the props department, the set team fucking killed it.
Oh my gosh. It's such a beautiful movie to look at. This, like the travel sequence.
Yes.
The fact that that's all practical effects.
Yep.
And like... It's so cool. They did such an incredible job and they made such a cool movie. But, you know, it's not a feminist masterpiece.
No.
I don't think any kind of media can be a feminist masterpiece because media is not a thing that lives and exists. And in order to be a feminist, you have to live and exist. Media cannot be a belief system.
Yeah. Also, for some people, they're like, oh, you know, the issues with like Mattel owning it too. And it's reflective on the fact that Mattel has problems. Like, it's very upfront about that, which is very nice. But at the end of the day, for some people, their whole gripe is the fact that, you know, money is going into societal things that are awful and blah, 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 blah. Like, all this stupid shit about spending money and not spending money. It's like there's a lot of things people talk about the film. It's like, yeah, I get it, but that's not what I'm wanting the film to be reviewed on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like some of my problems with it are it is ultimately a thing created by a company that had a hand in what it is that they could say. Because this movie would not have been made without Mattel approving it being made.
Oh, yeah.
But it cannot properly target Mattel and speak on the problems with the company because the company sourced it. But then we also wouldn't have had the movie. So it's this like vicious kind of quagmire that you get in, which is like, I understand why people wanted it to be a little bit more scathing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we got what we got because there are moments in this movie that scream corporate interference.
Yeah.
And I get that. And I understand why that's there and why that has to be there. Because this movie would not have been made.
Yeah.
Without whatever concessions had to happen to the story, to the jokes, to whatever they were doing. Because ultimately you need Mattel to say, yes, you can make a movie with our product and our license.
Yeah. You gotta go through the red tape.
You have to. And it's what it is.
Yeah.
And capitalism is the devil. And that is the root of all evil is capitalism.
Yeah, it is. I agree. But on that note, before we maybe keep talking about the negative things, can I just say,
it's peppered with like positive and negative.
I know,
but it's going to be a fucking roller coaster today, ladies and gentlemen and gentlemen.
All the whole thing. But can we talk about how fucking great the soundtrack slapped?
Oh my god, so
I
good.
have I listened to that soundtrack before I watched the film, and then after the film, it was fucking on repeat all the time in my kitchen when I was doing anything. The song "I'm Just Ken" is fucking top tier.
So good.
I mean, the whole album is riddled with perfect songs that are like great, that like have their due. I really love Man I Am by Sam Smith.
Oh.
It's just the man that I am. Fucking love that one. And then Hey Blondie's good. Yeah. But What Was I Made For fucking makes me cry all the time.
Oh my gosh, it's so upsetting. And like, yeah, I know that there are some women who didn't. I've talked to like some women because this is very much like a woman power movie.
Oh yeah.
But I know that some people that I talked to didn't really like connect with. We're gonna jump way to the end now, I guess. Okay. Didn't really connect with like the ending scene where that song comes in, and like I cried.
Oh, me
at
too.
that part of the movie because it just
mess.
For some people it connects more than other people, and that's just the nature of the beast that is film and any sort of like media that you're putting out in there. But yeah, it's like that moment. Nick called it very Hallmark, which I'm gonna hold off on quoting Nick too much.
You better. He'll be mad.
He will be so mad. But I loved that scene because it was very, and the fact that they took all of those video clips of people from their actual lives, like women actually just living and existing. And in my mind, that was kind of the point of the story. Wasn't like women can change the world, we can do anything that we want. It was women deserve to exist and be who they want to be. You don't need to be a Madam President. You don't need to be a scientist. You can just be a woman who it gets through the day. And that is in itself something that I don't think that we tell people enough, because there's all that like you can be anything you want to be. And sometimes I don't want to have to like live up to being anything I want to be. Sometimes I just want to be who I am.
Yeah.
And I felt that in that scene, that sense of just what does it mean to live, to exist as a woman? And it's just the ability to live and like to just live and exist.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, it's just fucking.
That's such a good song.
It's such a good song. There's a lot of good songs. Even if you don't watch the movie, why are you listening to this if you haven't watched the movie?
Yeah, this is going to be real hard. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's probably already going to be hard to follow.
I know.
I don't
care.
Have
a script.
This is for me.
This is for us.
This is for Fonda, and this is for us.
But If there's one thing you can get is just listen to the soundtrack. It's
so
a
good.
fucking banger.
It's got a lot of just good shit on there.
It's good.
She's got such good stuff on there.
But Alison has a note. It looks like she has a thing she specifically is ready to talk about.
I want to get this out here at the beginning because I'm going to be quoting it a lot.
Okay.
So Greta Gerwig has been quoted as saying, "I am both doing the thing and subverting the thing" in this movie. So that's a lot of the themes that we're going to talk about are like patriarchy, like equality, and like all those sorts of things. So she is both feminism. So yeah, she is both doing the thing and subverting the thing, which is one of the roots of what I think that when I turn my brain off and I watch this movie, I don't care. Like that's what I just turn my brain off. I enjoy it. It's pretty, it's colorful, it's funny. It's got tons of good shit in there. But ultimately it gets a little bit muddy because she is trying to do two opposing concepts here. And I don't think that it translated as well as it possibly could have. Because at the beginning, the Kens represent women.
Yep.
But then they represent patriarchy. But then that means that Barbie Land is patriarchy, but patriarchy is bad. But then we go back to patriarchy at the end of the movie. They're like, oh, they're going to have the same amount of men. Kens in Barbie Land will have the same amount of power as women in the real world, which is pretty sad. But don't get me wrong. For a dark comedy, sad, melancholy endings are my jam. I love that this movie has a melancholy ending. This movie does not have a fucking happy ending. And I will fight anybody who says that because it's not a particularly happy ending.
Not really.
I am happy with the fact that Barbie just became a real woman at the end.
And went to go see her gyno.
Went to go see her gynecologist, which I think is super funny. The fact that there was no shame around that. Greta Gerwig, I believe, has talked about that as well. And she's like, that's never been in a piece of media. I've never seen some woman where it's not a it is a punchline, but it's not a punchline.
Yeah.
Like, it's because it's not made out to be gross. It's like, it's funny because she's like, I'm here to see my gynecologist.
Yeah.
But also, she's proud and she's excited about it. And it's a thing where she's keeping her body healthy. And we're talking about, like, women's bodies in a good way. And, so that part is good. But, yeah, like, the Kens go back to essentially being second-class citizens in Barbie Land. And it's like, I would have liked a happier ending for the Kens because the Kens are kind of supposed to be the women too. I mean, then they're also the villains. So it gets really muddy when you start picking at it a little too much. And I mean, that's pretty much every single movie that tries to combat the level of things that this movie, like the level of concepts and the amount of concepts that this movie brings forth is a lot. But then they don't really give you like a happy ending.
No.
It's just kind of an ending, which again, I don't like. I watch a lot of movies that don't have a happy ending.
Yeah, they exist.
Yeah, they exist.
Can I just say I hated all of the I don't mind negative reviews, but like the people that purposely just wanted to hate the movie from the beginning because that's where they stand in life. I don't care. But just don't fucking go see movies you know you're not going to like. I hate that's...
Oh, they didn't see the movie. They just review bombed it because they're fragile man children who don't know how to understand that sometimes things aren't for you.
But still, it just who's that one fucking guy? Ben Shapiro, is that his name?
That's the unfortunate part of social media now is that in doing stupid things, you then get more views, right? Like when he said that thing about wet ass pussy, when he was like something about his wife and it basically made it sound like he's like really bad in bed. That was intentional. The one thing that I will give him is he is not that stupid. That is fully intentional because then everybody's commenting on his stuff. It's getting higher in the algorithm. It's getting commented on. People are seeing it. It doesn't matter that they're negative comments. It's still attention. And that's what he's doing with the Barbie movies. It's still attention.
I know, but I just hate it. I hate that society. And I admit I was once within the same catchment. But I'm sure for some of us, we remember a time, and we're not that old, Alison, but we remember a time when if you didn't like anything, you didn't have to consume it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to read it. You didn't have to watch it. You could stop watching a show. You could stop doing certain things. Now it seems like people will watch stuff even if they hate it, read something even if they hate it, do things even if they hate it. I mean, if it's your job to review things, whatever. Like, that's different. If it's your job to be like, I have to watch something I might not like because I gotta, absorb and do this thing for my boss because he needs me to make a movie review on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, I don't give a shit about that. But for normal fucking people that just, like, all they want to do is hate on things because it's just easy to hate on things. I'm like, my God. Like, a lot of things suck online now because no matter where you go, there's not like one little pocket of a community of people that are just like, yeah, we all mutually like it. We know there might be flaws. But now it's like no matter where you go, you can't just be around people that also enjoy the thing that you like.
Yeah.
Because now it's just bombarded with constant hate towards everything all the time. And I just hate it.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. And I felt that a lot with this film, which bothered me so much.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if you don't, just stop. Like, just full stop.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want this movie to get all the money? Stop watching it. Like, stop.
Stop talking about it. Stop doing those things because I vote with your dollar. I've said it a couple times probably on this podcast.
Yep.
And that's exactly what I did. I voted with my dollar. I went and saw this movie multiple times.
Yeah.
I bought it. I bought the soundtrack because I think that movies...
I almost bought the I Am Knuff hoodie sweater. I almost bought it. Oh, it's so good.
But yeah, like, I want to see more films from different points of view. And don't get me wrong, this is not exactly a super different point of view. It's the point of view of a well-off white woman that follows the whitest of all women, which is stereotypical Barbie. This is not exactly...
Which Margot Robbie slapped at.
She was incredible.
Fucking killed it.
So good. So good.
Love you, Margot Robbie. I think you did a great job.
Yeah, just incredible performance. But yeah, so it's not exactly like a revolutionary thing, but the fact that, we don't get as many movies made by women. They don't get the same accolades. They don't make the same money at the box office.
Yeah.
And this was just kind of like different things can make money. Maybe take more chances.
Yeah, a lens through a women's view is very successful.
Then Mattel went and took the wrong thing and was like, well, if this did well, let's make all of our IP into movies. It's like, no, that's not what you should have taken from that. It wasn't the toy. It was the point of view. It was the story. Yeah. Like, the toy did play a part in it because, like, so many of us have, like, core memories attached to Barbie.
Yeah.
But, like, it wasn't just the toy. It was, it was everything else.
I know.
So that was silly.
It was silly. One thing that I loved but also found irritating, not in a bad way, but like when something irritates you because it like resonates with you.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was Tasha. What was the girl's name? The daughter.
Oh.
Was it Tasha? I know they all had the name of the Bratz dolls, which I think is fucking great.
Yes.
But I can't. Was it Chloe?
Sasha.
Thank you. When Barbie first meets Sasha and like Sasha just fucking like drops a bomb.
I don't have control of the railways.
I know. Oh, that was great. What do you mean? Blah, 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 blah. Like I love
fascist. What?
Yeah. What? I just really love
the flow of commerce.
You make women feel bad about themselves and just like all these things. It was like fucking. Those are valid, like 100%. Everything she said, I'm sure every woman has felt or thought in regards to a Barbie doll, in regards to certain models that have certain perspectives on things and companies that are like for example, Victoria's Secret with the company with the bras not being made by women for women, but by a man owns a company and all these other things. Like I totally respected that was in there, but I was also irritated by it because I was like, oh my God, I remember being a teenager and just fucking hating on everything.
Yeah. Especially anything coded for women.
Yeah.
Anything like boy bands. Like things that that the big bosses in capitalism are like, we are specifically designing this for you because we want to take your money.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we follow that, we are then villainized for following that, despite the fact that it is literally designed for us. And we are the only, like, they don't do that to little boys. They fucking target trucks and shit at them all the time. And when the little boys want to go to monster truck rallies, everybody's like, yeah, look at this, is great. But like when we want to play with Barbies or we want to do something girly or wear dresses, it's the worst fucking thing in the entire world, because to be feminine at all, to like display femininity, is bad.
But then not doing it is also bad. It's like, so I just really loved her as a character and how she grew through the film with her and her mom. And like, again, I was both in love and irritated by it, because I was like, I remember literally being that. Maybe not as well versed as she was with her conversation and vocabulary, but I remember like fitting that so much. And
both hating myself and wanting to love myself at the same time.
Yeah. And just being like, oh, sometimes I do like the color pink, but God forbid I tell anybody that.
I actually have an entire section of my notes called the anti-Barbie attitude, which starts off with us talking about this. And one of the things that like I noticed was, like her one friend who's like, I liked Barbie, like was then like shut down.
Everyone
but
was
it's because it's not okay to like it, but we all did.
Yeah.
Or well, a lot of us did. I'm not going to generalize too much here.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
But many of us enjoyed doing that. And then we were villainized by it. And then we kind of get into this weird like social dynamic and this social pressure of denying our femininity while also needing to display it. And it's wild. One TikTok, somebody pointed out that they never thought they had to look like Barbie until somebody told them they had to. And it blew my fucking mind, because I was like, you know what? You're right. When I was a child playing with Barbies, I never thought this is the perfect woman. I thought it was a fucking toy that was designed to wear clothes and to get dressed up and for me to play as an adult.
For your imagination.
For my imagination. I didn't think that that was the epitome of woman until, so let's just generalize here, until men told me that that was the epitome of womanhood, was looking like a Barbie that is that is designed to be able to put clothes on and off of. That is why she is shaped the way that she is. It is not because this is the perfect body for a woman. It is because this will make the clothes look better.
Yeah.
And fit better.
And easy to put on and off for a child.
That is all. It's like, but yeah, until media and men were like, well, this is clearly the perfect thing. This is how women all have to look. It's like, until somebody told me that, I never considered that. I did not consider Barbies to hurt my belief in myself and my self-worth until somebody else told me that that's what I should be feeling. And then it gets all confusing and weird. But yeah, that was like one of the other things that I found really funny online is like everybody's like, they should have gone a little bit harder on the weird things that little girls used to do with Barbies.
I bet you they thought about it 100%.
Like, when we would like smash them together.
Yeah. Or Ken flipping through the air.
Ken flipping through the air, like us having no concept of what sex is. That was one funny part where he's like, what are we going to, like when Ken asked to stay over and Barbie's like, what are we going to do? And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like, because like, as a child, I didn't know, but I did know that it was two adults together, naked,
in a bed.
That was my concept of what happened.
Maybe
and
you
then,
knew about kissing,
and then babies happen.
Yep.
So like you have this like vague childhood concept, and so I think people were laughing because they're like, I think it would have been funny had they gone a little bit harder into like the weird Barbie. There was a really quick thing of like, why is she always in the splits? And it's like, she is always in the splits.
Yeah, she is always in the splits.
Which
for sure.
I find so entertaining.
And just like the what was it? How perfectly it embodied like the moving from one thing to another. They just floated down. Mm-hmm. Like you didn't forcefully make them walk.
Yes, you didn't actually make them walk through stuff.
It was great. That was funny. I do wish there was more, but I also am not mad that there wasn't.
No. Like I think that would have taken it a little further into,
I feel like the too silly category.
Yeah, into the too silly category, or not just necessarily the too silly category, but like possibly like the too vulgar category, because people don't like to acknowledge the fact that children do weird things in regards to like sexuality and like concepts of sex. Like we all deny what we did when we were kids, but like it was a curiosity and it was a confusion and it was a complication. Like my Barbies, look, we didn't have a lot of Kens. We just didn't have a lot of Kens.
I took my brother's G.I. Joe doll to be my Ken whenever I needed a Ken.
Nice. We had the hot Ken, and then we had the ugly Ken. Oh. The hot Ken had the plastic hair, and the ugly Ken had real hair, but it got so fucked up that it was really like, it was messy all the time. Oh. And so he just looked a mess.
Just looked ragged.
And so we had hot Ken and ugly Ken, and those were our two Ken dolls for our like 30 Barbie.
I know, so many, but the amount of women I would have pretend to be the man, or I wouldn't pretend to have the man be a man at all. I'd just be like, these two women are having a kid and living a life.
It just was what it was.
Yeah.
And sometimes looking back on my past, I was like, oh, so I did like girls for a really long time. I just didn't know it. There was that joke that everybody who used to sing the Ken part in Barbie Girl is now queer. And I'm like, oh no. That was me.
Oh, Allison. Fucking. Can another thing I want to say is, while there are some gripes I have with which Barbie dolls were represented in the film or not in the film, I am so happy at the diversity the film was giving us.
Yes.
Was it perfect?
No. Should the plus size ones not have had their arms hidden the entire movie and been fully dressed, basically head to toe? Yes. Because there's nothing wrong with fat upper arms.
No.
And all the other Barbies got to dress super sexy. And not that, like, who knows, maybe that actress liked those outfits. They were pretty. They were really nice outfits, but they screamed fat fashion.
Yes.
In a way I didn't like.
That's fair. And, like, I like that we got to see a Barbie doll that was in a wheelchair. I liked that we got to see a lot of different Barbie dolls that, you know, it wasn't just, like, white or a black woman. They did I think they did the best given what they maybe were given or whatever, or who they could find or who they could get on board or who was able to actually maybe work on the project, because I don't, you know, actors sometimes can't be in it. But the one thing when I was looking at it, I was like, I'm not mad that not everyone I want to see is in the film, because there's so many people just here.
Yeah.
It felt like I was going through life where you don't always see every single person that exists under the sun.
Yeah.
But it was just so nice to just see diversity to the extent that we got.
Yeah. And it's like, as with many things, this movie is very much, I see it as a first step. Like,
yeah. Like also Asian Ken. I liked that Asian Ken was like,
I love that actor so much.
I know. Simu Lee, he's great. There was a lot of great actors in that film. But, like, another thing I liked, I was like, oh, he gets to play, like, a hot love main interest, even though Barbie didn't choose any of the Kens.
No.
I liked that for him, because not a lot of male Asian actors, unless it's, like, an Asian film, get to play that kind of role for women. So it was so nice.
It was super nice.
I loved it. I really liked the film for a lot of things. Just like, could we break it down, like you said, to be like, oh, now we're getting nitty gritty on the things that they could make better. But there was just so much that I was just like, don't take this away from me. Like you said, it's a first step. It's a win in a category that we need.
Yeah, and the fact that like one of the Barbies is played by a trans woman.
Yes.
Hari Neff. And it's one of those things that like, I both would like them to address it, but also like that they didn't address it. Because it's like, trans women actresses should not be limited to only playing trans roles.
I agree.
And the fact that the Barbie movie didn't dig into like what it means to be trans in the Barbie world, they didn't have time for that. And genuinely,
no, they had one little funny bit in the real world. We do not have any genitals.
We do not have any genitals.
Say, I got all the genitals.
Yeah.
That was great. Honestly, love that.
Yeah, but like that is such a larger topic. And genuinely, I do not believe that is necessarily what this movie was. That's like, this movie already kind of bit off a little bit more than it could chew.
I know.
To add in trans rights issues and stuff like that, I love that she was just another Barbie.
Yeah.
And I would like to see that more in movies. Her being trans has nothing to do with her capability as an actress.
Correct.
And she did a great job. She was fucking hilarious. That part where she like had the glasses on, it was like, I'm just not pretty. And then she takes them off. It's like, oh no, I can see your eyes. And I'm just like, oh my God.
I know, that
It reminds me of like every like teen movie.
Yeah, where there's a nerdy girl. Yeah. But her glasses
loved
come
it.
off. Oh my
Now
God.
now I can see your pretty eyes. Yeah.
But yeah, I loved the dance scene because that was the first time we fully got to think I see a outside of that one. I'm lying. It wasn't the first scene, but it was the first one that felt real because there was the one where it showed like the lineup of women of like when it was like Barbie can be anything, and it's all these women that are like turning to face the camera at the white shot, and they're all different women. Did really like that. That was great. I'm like, thank you, right off the bat. None of those people were acting in the film, though. So when I'm talking about the first, like, acting scene with the dance, when they're all there doing stuff, I was like, yes, 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 this is great. Fucking please keep doing dancing numbers. I love a bespoke song. It's just, and my one thing is correct me if I'm wrong, Alison, because you've seen it more than I have. I do not think I visibly saw an Indigenous Barbie. Were there Indigenous actors? Probably. I can't go through the whole list to check everybody's heritage or culture representation, but I don't think like there wasn't one where I was visibly like, oh, this is an Indigenous woman. Yeah. That was the one thing I personally missed. It isn't the biggest gripe in the world, but for me, who's struggling with figuring out my own path with being very white, but having an Indigenous background, heritage that my mom and grandmother just didn't want to fucking talk about, I've been wanting to seek in that more to see it so I can work through my own stuff and figure things out on myself. And that was one thing I did miss for the film for me personally. Didn't change anything else about the film, but I remember just like, that was the one thing I wish I could have seen for the diversity. Would have been like, can we please, can I have a wonderful Indigenous woman? Because there's so many great Indigenous actors out there. Yes. Even if it was a Ken doll, you know, like it didn't have to be a Barbie, but I just kind of wanted that box checked off, but I'm sure other people wanted other boxes checked off and they couldn't get it. So I'm not going to say that sucks, but I mean, we can all want more for sure. And that's completely fine. We can all we can all want more. Yeah. And we can all hope for more. Like, I did want more Alan. He was great. Alan was great. So my list of notes on Alan says the ultimate Allian. Allian? Nice. In my notes, I said we should talk about how Alan is the best representation of masculinity in the movie. He's sick. He shows a broad range of emotional capability and, like, emotional depth and understanding. Yeah. He's expressive while also being the only one to really do like actual violence in the movie, which I think is wild. Yeah. When he's like, oh my God, still arguably my favorite joke in the entire movie, when he's like, if once they figure out how to build that wall sideways instead of up, we're gonna be in trouble. Just all the construction men building a giant pillar, and I just fucking die every time. I know, and they all go, what you doing? What you doing? He's like, stay in the car. Yeah. Stay in the car. And it's just like, like he... Go to sleep. And I know that he's happy at the end, but like I wished for more for Alan, because like he's completely ignored by the like Alan is this like wonderful representation. He's completely ignored by the Kens. The only people who talk to him are the Barbies. And so like Alan is to the Kens what the Kens are to Barbie, like what the Barbies are to Kens or whatever. Yeah. And it's like they don't see that. The Kens are too kind of like self-obsessed to notice that they're treating Alan the exact same way that the Barbies are treating them, by just like, there's only one Alan. Only one Alan, except for all the Allens escaped. Yeah. And are now in sync or whatever. Yeah. Which is also an incredible joke. I know. There's somebody who has a theory that all of the CEOs are actually Allens. And despite the fact that they didn't say that, I think that that's hilarious. I think it's funny too. I think just like we are all Alan. We are all Alan. Because the Allens are treated like
arguably the worst.
Yeah.
Next to Weird Barbie, which will be her own discussion in a little bit. But like next to Weird Barbie, Alan is treated like garbage, but he doesn't let that change the fact that he cares about these people.
Yeah.
And he wants what's best for everybody. Unfortunately, what is best is reestablishing the patriarchy, which is unfortunate. And I think that they could have done a better job.
I know.
Than just like everything's back to normal and we might give you like a basic title. It's like, I know that they're not smart. I know that the Kens aren't smart, but this is definitely a make-believe world. And you could have just given like Kens equal rights.
Yeah, I know.
That would have been good. You know?
They were doing a lot of again, they were commenting on what the current state of the world is like, so I get it.
And again, doing the thing but also subverting the thing. And it's like, yes, that is what's happening. Yes, you are representing the world. But also, can we not represent a world a little bit brighter than that?
Yeah.
Like, can Barbie Land not be better than our world? Can that not be, like, a thing that we strive for?
I know.
And so, like, that's kind of where it was a little sad. But also, like, I get it. Because ultimately, I also found that line really funny. Because this movie, it both brings out the dichotomy in me as well, because I also loved getting to see something that doesn't fucking exist, which is women being in charge for once. It's kind of a weird power fantasy for us, which, like, I understand, like, I enjoy living in that power fantasy of like, you know what? Yeah, they fucking deserve it. Like, women deserve to be in charge a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I understand and enjoy that experience as much as I wish it would have been happier. I also enjoy what it is that we got.
I know.
If that makes sense. Like, it's so hard to explain.
I get it.
That, like, I enjoy the fact that it's shitty to men, but also I want it to be better to men because men are women. And I'm like, I don't understand.
I know. And it's just, it's interesting because, like, I know how a lot of people are like, oh, Ken was the favorite character from the whole show. And I'm like, that's because as much as we fucking loved Barbie, we were all Ken. The reason Ryan Gosling stole the show, so to speak. One, Ryan Gosling fucking slapped. He slapped the.
He did such a good job for better or worse for the movie in total.
He did a great job.
Fucking
I loved
excellent
it.
job.
But like he represented, in like you said, what the backwardsness of the Barbie world was at the beginning, which is the women were in control like the men, and the men were the women and doing the supporting roles. And so like everyone loved Ken because it's just like in really weird ways.
In a super roundabout way, Ken is women.
Ken was us, but also not us.
But also Barbie was us.
But yeah. This film tackled so many wild things.
It bit off a little bit more than it could chew.
It did. But like I did like how it was doing its best to address that the patriarchy is harmful for men just as much as it's harmful for women.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone else has to say. I liked that was a point. Did it hit home for everyone and get home runs all the time? No. But I liked that was kind of like, if this was an essay, the whole film, while it had multiple different morals or meanings or stories you can touch on, it was just always going back to the patriarchy sucks.
For everyone. Yeah. It's bad. It's a bad time.
It's a bad time. Ken isn't just Ken. He wants to just be Ken, but it's Barbie and it's Ken.
Yeah.
He just wants to exist.
He just wants to exist.
And I'm sure there's like again, spoiler alert, our partners are going to be doing an episode.
Our partners are going to be doing the next episode.
That's why we're trying really hard to avoid talking from certain perspectives.
Yeah.
But like, I'm sure, I don't know if our significant others will talk about it, but I know that the patriarchy fucking sucks for my own partner because he has perceptions and feelings about what it means for him to support me as a woman married to a man.
Yes.
And I'm just like, that's because of stupid traditional views that we've been given. Yes. And even if we're doing our best to fucking unpack that shit and not fit in that mold, it's exhausting.
Yeah. And I think weirdly, what Alan did in the movie was a better representation of how to be a man and support other men and other women.
Yes.
Like, every man who watches this movie should strive to be an Alan.
Yes.
Like,
do you know that the meme of like, this is my Ken's job?
Yes.
And I remember, and that's funny, but I loved the ones where like, no, this is my Alan. And I was like, yes.
Yes. Like, every man who watched this movie should strive to be an Alan.
Yes.
Because he understands the Ken's problems and the Barbie's problems, and he supports them, and he understands, and he is the ultimate representation of how I would like to see like masculinity represented. And Michael Cera is
I know.
So
he did a great job. He did a great job. I also liked how for Alan they picked, because all the Kens had different body types too.
Yes.
Which I loved. Michael Cera.
I thought they could have gone a little harder with the Kens, but
I agree. I do agree.
I get it.
I do agree, but I still liked it.
Yes. I was watching the extra features, and I actually found it really interesting. You'll notice, like, at the beginning of the movie, all the Kens are wearing essentially different colors of the same clothes.
Yeah.
But by the end of the movie, and all the Barbies are wearing unique clothing, and apparently a lot of the actors and actresses got a say in a lot of their like
outfits,
clothing, or like inspirations or whatever. They would talk about what Barbies they had loved the most as kids, like things like that.
Yeah.
What outfits they enjoyed. And so the Kens at the beginning are all wearing essentially different colors of the same clothing.
Yeah.
And at the end, they're all wearing slightly different clothing.
Yes.
Which is like the smallest hint that they are starting to discover their own individuality.
Yes.
Which was kind of the point of the story, was Ken's discovering that they're not all Ken. They're not all the same toy, despite the fact that we as children treated them all as the same fucking toy.
Oh, for sure.
Which again, I think is like very much a part of it.
Oh, I know.
So yeah, it's nice though that like they put that in there. Like, that was a conscious thought that they're like, well, now the Kens are beginning to discover their individuality.
Yes.
Which I did enjoy.
But yeah, Alan was great. My final comment on Alan was, I loved, again, the scene where he beats up the construction men. But the fact is, he was hiding in the car.
He was
hiding in it. It's not until he gets discovered and then he's like, oh no, hold on, I'm going to handle this. He still went back to be in the back seat, not at all in control of the vehicle, but he was like, I will handle the problem of these guys.
Yeah.
But if you turn around, I'm not going to fight you.
Yeah.
I'm going to, like, I just love that kind of dichotomy of it, because normally in a way it's like, for some scenes where someone's like, stay in the vehicle, like it's the person that's also driving. He
is not the driving force of that scene necessarily.
No.
But he is like, he's a supporting character. And sometimes men need to be supporting characters.
Yeah.
And women need to be able to take center stage. And that upsets men watching TV sometimes.
I know. I don't care though. I don't care.
And I don't care, because Alan is a perfect angel.
I know. I love Alan.
And he deserves the world.
He does. He deserves so much better. In my head, I like to think he left Barbie Land.
Yeah. I like to think
he's like, you know what? For my own happiness, I'm going to leave. Mm-hmm.
I helped you save it because this is like my home and I care about you all and I wanted to make a better world for you.
And Ken's my best friend.
And the Kens are my best friend. I wear all of his clothes.
Yeah, his clothes fit me.
Yeah, I kind of like that they didn't necessarily lean into like they made that joke, but they didn't incredibly queer code Alan. Like, they didn't make him like kind of a like gay stereotype, despite the fact that like that was always the joke about the doll, is that he was like, him and Ken were definitely boyfriends.
Yeah.
Because obviously he can fit all Ken's clothes.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of a weird tagline.
Yeah.
I get it, but also kind of a weird tagline.
Oh, yeah.
I like that they didn't necessarily like hyper queer code him. They're like, no, he's just a male. Like, he almost came off as like more asexual to me than like anything else.
We're really just bouncing everywhere. Yeah, I don't care.
We're kind of leading into the other thing, which is my other title, which it involves like Weird Barbie, which is queer coded characters and their place in feminism.
Fucking love Weird Barbie.
Weird Barbie, and like so many of the other Barbies in the house are all like very queer coded, very different.
Midge.
Yeah, all of like the more outcast dolls in the movie are
the
queer coded, or they're people of color, or those kinds of things. And I find that to be what I assume was a very intentional piece of commentary on the fact that queer individuals and people of color have been the driving force behind many feminist movements in history.
Yep.
And they are often overlooked.
Yep.
And what they gave to those movements is not recognized as much as it should have been. And at least it got like a little bit recognized in the movie. I think they could have recognized it a little bit. Like, again, one of those things that like they did it, but they could have done more.
Yeah.
To recognize what those characters did for saving Barbie Land.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed their part. I thought it was hilarious. Earring Magic Ken, Sugar Daddy Ken, Video Barbie.
Yes. What's the child that grows up and she has that weird boob?
Oh, Growing Up Skipper.
Growing Up Skipper. Dear God.
So weird.
I know. But I loved Weird Barbie because everyone had a fucking Weird Barbie.
Everybody had a Weird Barbie. We had multiple Weird Barbies. She was just the best. And why am I blanking on her name?
The actress?
Yeah.
I can't remember, but she's great. She's hilarious. She's
Kate McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon, you're a gem.
She's so funny.
She's just getting funnier, in my opinion.
She's so funny. I find the slight ways that she changes her characters to be so subtle and well done.
Yes.
Like, despite the fact that she was also kind of playing like a weird queer-coded character in something like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And things like that. It's like, but she was different in this movie. She was still weird and she was still kind of like strange.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the same kind of weird. And she just did such an amazing job. Like what she represented, how the people who are on the outskirts were not affected by the patriarchy as much because they're not the target. The patriarchy targets like the masses. And sometimes when you're trying to do the most damage, you have to focus on the area where you can do the most damage. And that, unfortunately, was the regular Barbies.
Yes.
And I love that weird house. I love that weird house. I loved Weird Barbie. Her outfits were incredible.
Well, the Weird Barbie house had the best fucking view in real estate. Let's just say.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's probably so many different metaphors and stuff you could work off of all the things that they
Oh, for sure.
brought Weird Barbie in, is how if you're outside the system, you have a better view of what's going on. You can see the whole picture, shit like that. There's probably a bunch of metaphors.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I would have liked for the other Weird Barbies and Weird Kens to get more due than just main Weird Barbie getting a job.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to be like,
I would like to be in charge of
the rest of
sanitization.
you. I would like to please give me sanitation.
Please give me sanitation. That was great.
But yeah, they gave her sanitation. They couldn't have given the Ken some fucking job.
I know. It's, again, it's not perfect,
I get it.
though.
It's not perfect. I get it. I still love it.
I know. Can we talk about America Ferrera's Barbie monologue?
Yes. Obviously. Obviously, we can talk about it.
Because it's when stereotypical Barbie is at her fucking lowest.
Yeah.
It's when Margot Robbie is having that funny little thing where it's like, if anyone but Margot Robbie was playing Barbie right now, this would be really funny because, she's crying, there's no makeup, she's not perfect.
Yeah.
Which again, I love that the more and more Barbie became real, the more and more she didn't have makeup. Her hair was more flat. She had cellulite showing. There were things about her.
Cellulite, in quotations.
She was ugly crying.
Yes.
I loved that part so much.
Yeah, she was far less put together and perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, which again, Margot Robbie's beautiful.
Yes.
So I thought it was funny that they had that comment on we get it.
Yeah, we know what we did.
We know what we did,
her.
but still, she is the actress playing this person.
Yes.
And she doesn't look as beautiful as she, quote unquote, doesn't look as beautiful. She's still fucking stunning. But that's compared to the beginning.
That's why in my synopsis, I was like, not as perfect.
Yeah.
She's still perfect.
Yeah.
But so many people.
I know.
Either way.
But it's when America Ferrera's character is giving that monologue. That's anytime I just want to fucking yell at the world, I've been reading it because it encompasses so much. It was well written.
Yes.
If anything, I feel like they took their time with ensuring the monologue would be written in the way that it would be.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the movie would have been as successful without it.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but every time she fucking said anything about like, you know, we can't ask for money, but we need like all these certain things where I'm just like, oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
The fucking bullshit about all of this, about like, well, I can't be on your team, but like we all have to be like womanhood, but also like I gotta be mad at you if you're not
stand out. And
I just like I don't want to read it because I feel like you should just fucking watch the film and
because she delivers it better than I could.
Oh yeah, but it's just like
there's the joke that like every film student for the rest of forever is going to be using that as like their monologue.
Yeah.
And like I love that though, because there are so many monologues by men that you have to choose from.
Yeah.
Like in high school we had to try and find a monologue from a movie, and all of the like cool female ones that I had remembered kind of finding were like villain kind of speeches and stuff like that, right? They were all kind of negative, or they were upsetting, they were sad, but this one's kind of, you can bring like a passion to this speech. It's insightful and it's honest and it's true. And just because another one of those things that people say is, this movie is very much an intro to feminism, but we don't really have a super famous, easily accessible intro to feminism movie that I can necessarily think of that has been this popular. I can think of a fair amount of other interesting movies that bring up like concepts of feminism, things like that.
Yeah.
But they are not Barbie, right? Like they are not a big thing. Yeah. That multiple people saw, and that thing where everybody's like, oh yeah, my girlfriend like went to Barbie and then came home and broke up with me. And I was like, yeah, because you were probably a shitty boyfriend. Yeah. And you should probably do some like, you should watch Barbie and you should try and figure out what in that movie told her that she should break up with you, because it was probably pretty fucking bad. Like, yeah. And you probably deserved it. And she probably deserved to do some self-reflecting and find different in her life. Yeah. But yeah, that monologue just, it is both like cringy but also honest, because it's like, if you do participate and if you do consume more like media and stuff in regards to feminism, if you do know more about it, then it's like, these are basic concepts. Yeah. But also that's me taking a stance as somebody who has begun to look into those kinds of things, who has spent a long time figuring out myself and my connection to feminism and the history of that. And I may know those things. Yeah. I may have recognized that, but now I have a easily accessible, well-written synopsis of the complication of what it means to try and like be a woman. And the cool part is that by the end of the movie, Barbie still chooses that. Yeah. Despite how complicated and hard and shitty it is, like sometimes she still chooses to be a woman. Yeah. And that is real woman. Like, that is a part of the power of this movie, is that she sees how fucking shitty it is. She went to the world, that whole like, there's violence in the air. It's like, that is,
why do I feel scared?
Like, why do I feel scared? And like all of those things. And it's like, she still chose to be a woman because there's so much good too.
I know, like when she's sitting at that bench at the bus stop and we just see her crying, like, not in like, and she's laughing, but there's tears, and she sees an older woman and calls her beautiful.
Yeah. And like, she watches the couple like break up, but then she sees the other couple like together having a good time laughing, and she sees the kids playing.
Yeah. She's witnessing what being a human is. And it has ups and downs in life. I don't care what stage in life you are in. Everyone's experiencing very similar feelings, even if it's different. But it's such a good... I think I remember the first time watching it, just how quiet the theater was. Yeah. With the monologue. You know, like sometimes you'd be hearing people like, you know, you didn't fully hear what they were saying, but they were whispering or saying something like, oh, like this about the film, blah, 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 blah. But I just remember for that scene with her monologue, just quiet. Yeah. And I was just like, yes.
Yes. And I really enjoyed the relationship, despite the fact that it was kind of secondary to the story. But the relationship between Gloria and Sasha.
Yeah.
Kind of I think most people have complicated relationships with their mothers.
Yes.
In good and bad ways.
Yes.
And knowing what it was like to have that feeling of you don't understand, but then seeing that also point of view from the mom, which I think is so rarely shown, is I am also a person.
Yeah.
I am also having feelings of not being understood, of being different, of being sad. And like so often mothers are shown to be self-sacrificing, and to give Gloria the depth and her character was just so interesting without even necessarily needing a ton of screen time. She just wanted a relationship with her daughter. Yeah. And she wanted to be able to explore these weird feelings she has without being judged. It's like, well, you need to be a better mom. It's like, well, I'm also a person. I'm not just a mom. I'm a person too. And then the fact that like her daughter saw her as not just a mom, but a person, which I think is a really hard thing to get across.
Yes.
And then that was able to develop, you could see their kind of relationship knitting back together. And that's what I love about like my relationship with my own mom. Somewhere along the lines, my relationship with my mom has turned from her just being my mom to her being a person, to her being one of my best friends. I hang out with her all the time. We go for coffee constantly. But she is a person in herself.
Yes.
The movie showed that. Like, it showed this really beautiful relationship between a mother and a daughter that wasn't perfect, and it also wasn't super, like, stereotypically, like, fuck you, mom. It was just like...
You don't get me.
Yeah. It was just so...
It's like, of course she doesn't get you.
Of course she doesn't.
You don't get her.
Like...
And that's okay.
Because neither of you were seeing each other as a person.
Yes.
Because I think that Gloria was also seeing her daughter as just, where's my little girl?
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, your little girl is growing up.
Right?
We did such a good job.
I know. And it's so complicated.
It's so hard.
And like
that us mothers stand still so our daughters can look back and see how far we've come was just, I think about that fucking line all the time, and it's beautiful.
It is. And it's so like also sad.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it beautiful too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a fucking happy ending. Like, it's kind of a sad, melancholy, and it is happy because she gets what she wants, but it's also what she wants is complicated and real, and it's like she just wants to be a woman, and being a woman is fucking complicated and weird and difficult.
Especially because she's the only woman that works at the Mattel building.
Oh my gosh. The fucking... Genuinely, people will probably get mad at me for saying this. I could have done with less Will Ferrell.
Really?
Yeah, I think that I enjoyed... Like, it was really just kind of the one part that I think kind of landed really weird, and I think I would have preferred to have more of a wrap-up for other characters than to have them just kind of, like... show up in Barbie Land. Like, kind of would have just liked Gloria to go back. I wish that they hadn't come to Barbie Land, essentially. Like, I think we could have gotten a wrap up of their story without needing them to kind of force themselves into like the Barbie Land situation. Like that whole, like, I just want to tickle each other. It's like, I don't fucking understand. I've watched that 4 fucking times and I do not understand that scene. Keep them as the villains. When he's like, get in the box, you Jezebel. So funny. So funny and poignant and exactly, but like that is a part that like I feel screams of like corporate interference, and it's like, well, no, Mattel needs to have a redemption story. They can't just be the guys that are trying to put Barbie back in the box. But that's what they are.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit that he wants to tickle his coworkers.
Well, especially because they're like, that doll won't make money, and they were like, oh no, the doll will make money.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, no, we'll take your idea.
Keep that line literally exactly the same back in the real world when she returns to work. I just feel like they didn't need to be there.
I get it. I do. Like, I like Will Ferrell in the film, but I do agree that maybe really the choice of how things were delivered.
Yes. I think it was a bad comedic placement. They were like, well, we need a comedic break in this pretty emotional ending. I was like, keep those, don't break that. keep that emotion. And that could have been a scene like just before we got her going to the gynecology appointment. Like they could have arrived back again into the real world. Gloria could have went in there and been like, I fixed this stuff for you. I got Barbie back in her place. Barbie Land is back. Everything's going fine. You need to listen to me. Here's my idea. And then it could have been the joke about like, oh, well, we're not doing that. And it's like, oh, it's going to make money. And then it's like, oh, okay, then we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And then they shake hands and maybe Gloria gets a promotion. Like, here's me rewriting your ending. But again, it's one of those like hindsight is 2020 kind of things.
For sure.
But also, I feel like it didn't need to be in there interrupting the story of the people I actually care about. Because I don't give a fuck about your super rich CEOs.
That are all men.
I don't fucking care.
My mom was a woman.
Get out. I am the nephew of a female aunt. Like, what? I don't care.
It's like, sir. Okay.
Yeah, like, again, like I feel like, yeah.
Oh, I have a gay friend. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. I'm a man with no power. Does that make me a woman? Like, there are so many like good parts, but I think that the part that made those characters good was the fact that Barbie was in the real world. Yeah. Because they didn't, I just felt like they didn't have a place.
No, that's fair.
In Barbie Land. I feel like the ending could have been better that way. But,
with the funny realization that some people had about the song Push You Down, when people were like, I thought that was made for the film. And it's like, no, this is a song that fucking exists. And that's the irony of it being there is like this song existed.
And it was an incredibly popular song played on the radio a lot.
I remember singing to it as a kid because it was just catchy. Not getting at all the message.
I sang a lot of songs that I did not know the words of.
Same. Like that one Young Girl YMCA song. Fucking I sang it.
Yeah.
I know what that song's about now.
I have this in big bold in my notes. Ryan Gosling is the most fucking incredible actor.
I know.
Because, like, I don't know if anybody else picked it up. I watched it multiple times. The last time I watched this movie, I had to, like, put it in and watch it again.
Okay.
So, in the part where they are all singing, and then she picks up her phone, that switch of his personality when he's like, who are you texting? Like, fucking scary.
Yep.
How, like, the aggression he puts in his voice. I don't know if it's just me, but it just, like, triggers something in my, like, woman brain that's like, you're in danger.
Yeah. You're like, I have to protect myself right now.
If you were not in a crowd, like if this wasn't a super funny scene and it was hilarious, but it was just this tiny
and that Barbie knew she was in control,
incredible moment of acting. He was an actor in that moment.
Ryan Gosling.
And like that. I don't know about you. I've experienced moments like that where you just see that threat for nothing.
Yeah.
But it's just like that jealousy, that possessiveness, that anger for no reason. Why aren't you paying attention to me? Yeah. This is about me. And it's just like,
I'm serenading you.
It was just so good. I just loved it so much. But like that just, and it was great because she's in control in that situation. We know that they were all in control. But the way that he encapsulated something that I've experienced, I don't know, maybe a bunch of other women have also experienced this, but that scene hasn't really been talked about a ton. I haven't seen that in a lot of things, but
fair.
It's such a short moment, but he does just such a good job of just like that switch from like, I'm performing for you and I'm being nice and I'm being performative. I'm not just performing for you. I'm being performative as the good boyfriend. I am doing what you should want me to do. Yeah. And you should love me for doing this. And then as soon as you're like, well, I don't actually, you're like, but I put in the effort and you need to fucking appreciate it. Yeah. But I don't.
You're like, I don't, what? Like, excuse me?
What do you mean? Can I not make my own choice? It's like, no, you don't have a choice. But it just was so good.
I know.
Oh my God. I do have like an entire chunk of notes called The Ken of It All. The Ken of It All. We've covered a lot of like the points in it. Just the Kens in general in this movie, it's so complex because they're both
the villain.
They're both the women and the patriarch. Like they're both women under patriarchy, but also they represent patriarchy once it comes to Barbie Land and like the Snyder cut joke.
Oh my God, the mansplaining of
The Godfather.
Pretend you don't know something for a Photoshop thing. It's like, oh, but do you have the right layer clicked? Just like certain things.
It was just so poignant and funny and entertaining, and I loved it so much. But yeah, like it just wasn't super clear because it's like it's bad, but it is hilarious. It was just fun to get to dump on men for a little while.
I know,
and that's why that's a big part of why I'm willing to forgive. It's like, yeah, it's a little bit of a messy metaphor, but I mean, I haven't stopped enjoying other movies for having messy metaphors. Like Zootopia was really kind of
Zootopia.
Oh God, it was good. Like I enjoyed the movie, but it also had a lot of crossed wires, and it didn't really know.
But I think
what it was doing.
I think in a way, it kind of also represents the human experience of like life is fucking messy.
Yeah.
And like no matter what side of something you want to take, there's going to be things where you're going to like, but this, like, and you're kind of like contradicting yourself. I get it. It's nice when a movie can just hit one point.
Yes.
But the fact that this one, in a way, kind of couldn't.
Yeah.
Mad about.
It hit a lot of points.
Hit so many.
So many. And it is nice seeing people talking about so many of the concepts that it brought up. Yeah, those things like women going home and like dumping their boyfriends, and it's like finding self-worth.
Yeah.
But also the fact that in the female version of the patriarchy, the worst that happens to the Kens is that they are ignored. In the male version of the patriarchy in the real world, the worst that happens to the women is that they are like actively suppressed and have violence done upon them. Yeah. Like all of those things. So it's like, at least the Kens were never afraid.
Yeah.
They might have been ignored, but overall, I'd take being ignored.
They weren't sexualized.
Being scared.
Yeah.
The fragility of male ego. Blonde fragility.
I love that song too. I just can't. Anywhere else I'd be 10.
I like jokes. I like can't hear. I'm just can't without immediately thinking of that song anymore.
I'm just Pete. That's fair.
It's so fucking funny.
That's fair.
I watch way too many TikToks for that sound. Especially because it's usually funny videos of like a really good dog in like the I'm just Ken, and then like a really shitty chaotic dog that's like ripping up the furniture.
I also really loved the outfits this entire film.
Yes.
Everyone had a banger of an outfit. And it's hard because I also know just as much as there's a lot of men that fucking hate this movie, I know that there's a lot of women that don't like the movie either.
Yeah.
And which is like fair and fine, and I don't give a shit if you don't like the film. You're allowed to not like the film.
People are allowed to not like things.
But I find it interesting when some women, female represented individuals, don't like the film and the things that they're saying they don't like the film. Like I remember when someone was like, oh, it's too girly. Like it's too this or it's too that. It's like, I don't care if you don't want to be girly.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if you don't identify as someone who fits into that role, or if you view yourself as quote unquote more of a tomboy. Like I don't think that matters, but to fully not like the film because it's targeting most female experiences, I think is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Again, like you can not like the movie because you just don't like the movie, but also like telling a generic story to connect with as many people as possible is kind of the whole thing of a lot of movies.
Yeah.
As somebody who battled a very long time with like internalized sexism and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm not like those other girls.
So bad all the time. Me as a young gal.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with telling a stereotypical story.
No.
Which they literally put that they were following stereotypical Barbie. This story is not supposed to be particularly niche. It's not designed to be that. It's designed to connect with as many women as possible.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So things are going to be generic. They're not going to be specific. The movie could have gone harder. We literally have spent an hour and 20 minutes so far talking about it. There is still a little bit more. I still have some other little notes.
We'll get there.
we have spent an hour, like over an hour, talking about the good and the bad of this movie, about things that I can see how people would take everything that I've said and have that mean that they don't like the movie anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what, that's too much stuff.
Yeah.
And how they can say, that's just not for me. But yeah, it's like, everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, it's just like,
and like, I don't
don't
think,
hate it just because it's girls stuff.
Yeah.
Just because it's girly. It's allowed to be girly. You're allowed to be girly. Everybody's
know.
allowed to do that.
and if you're not girly, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. But I just like, it's kind of like for a while, the tropes of certain female characters in books or movies where they were the tomboy and they're not like other girls, right? And they're like, ugh, get my nails done. But they're still sexy for some reason for men and all these other things. And like, I don't want to dive into that, but I'll always remember just like hating on anything that was for women, like directly for women. And then for some people not liking this because that's what it is, I think is a stupid take.
I think it kind of weirdly enough blends into the things that we talked about like way earlier of like Sasha refusing to like enjoy the thing. It's like, yeah, it could just not be for you, but not liking it because it's blatantly what it is, which is a bright pink Barbie movie.
Yeah.
Don't watch it then.
I know. I know. If you don't like dresses, if you don't like these things, if you don't like the girls having sleepovers and dancing and doing this stuff and hi Barbie, hi, like, I don't care. There's something there that is obviously special for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And like,
you shouldn't be out here yucking anybody's yums.
No, like, I'm not gonna yuck your yum. If you're a lady or a female identifying individual that does not give a shit about certain things in this film, you please, that's fine. But don't come targeting other people because it's not that people are targeting other people, but you know what I mean? Like hating on a wide array of people who are like, this actually like really hits home for someone.
Yeah.
Or this has made them cry. Or like, now they're okay with wearing pink, or now they're just like dumping their boyfriends, not because of a fad, but because of a realization that a movie gave them. Because that's happened to many people when you look at something and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Because some of those things, just kind of like to bring back in some of like my other
I'm
notes
going on tangents.
It's fine. Some of those things that like I can see how women would have realized, like in the movie, it blatantly points out the fact that men often talk to women about what they like.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times women will want to talk to other people about something that other person enjoys. They're like, oh, I saw this thing and thought of you because I know that you like superhero movies.
Yeah.
Whereas that person is then going to be like, okay, we're now going to do nothing but watch superhero movies. Instead of being like, okay, well, hey, I saw this thing and I know that you like Regency era romance books, so I bought this for you. Or, oh, hey, there's this new Jane Austen movie that's coming out. Why don't we go see that? It's like very much like a general stereotype, which stereotypes sort of exist for a reason.
Yeah.
For good and for bad. Stereotypes exist because, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, like stereotypically, women want to give to others things that they'll enjoy. And men would rather do things that they enjoy and make other people do the things that they enjoy. And you see that in the film. And like, they're just like, yeah, we're going to do this. Whereas the women are kind of just like doing their own thing. Like the Barbies are all just kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And then the Kens are just like following around. But it's like there was literally nothing stopping the Kens from developing their own lives before this. Mm-hmm. There was nothing stopping them from enjoying different things.
No, but they were in the role of thinking they had to impress the Barbies, which is for a lot of people thinking, I have to impress a man or my partner.
I said, men are often shown that women are responsible for making them feel like men. We don't owe you shit. You need to be enough on your own. That's the story. That's your lesson from Barbie. Oh. We don't owe you shit. You need to be enough.
You need to be enough. It's so good. I think I saw it on Instagram. I don't know who it was, but it was this video of this guy who's just like, I've seen the Barbie movie 4 times. And you might be like, oh, like, you got dragged to it. He's like, the first one? Yeah, I got dragged to it by my nieces. Guess what? I've prompted to go see it the other the other times. And he's just talking about like how he's really enjoyed it. And he's like, I cried. I saw my mom in these things. It's just like, I have some male friends in my life who refuse to see the movie because they just don't care. And I'm like, if you don't care to see it, that's different than just being like, you're not going to see it because you think it's dumb.
Yeah.
I think that in some way they would actually enjoy a lot of aspects about the movie, whether or not they may agree or not. And I don't want to say force all men to watch this film.
No.
But like in this guy's example, he's like, I wouldn't have known how good this movie was if I didn't go to it because of other people.
Yeah.
If I didn't watch it because of another person that I care about.
Yeah.
Like we all do, most women do that in life, and some men do it too. Anybody really will like do something for another person if you care enough about them.
Yeah.
And then in doing so, you'll be like, oh, I wouldn't have had this experience if I had not have done that. And I just kind of want to, for my birthday, be like, hey, we're going to fucking watch the Barbie movie. You're invited to come. And because it's my birthday, I hope you just watch it with me.
I hope you just deal. But like, that's the thing though, is I think that the right people who could go into this movie with an open mind could learn a lot from it. I think that there are people who don't need to learn from it.
Yes.
As it were, it's like, I enjoyed watching this movie.
It's not going to open up a new pathway in their brain.
No.
You know?
Like, I enjoyed watching this movie with Nick because I enjoy having conversations about like the meanings of movies.
Yeah.
With Nick. I love digging into them. I just enjoy it. I'm a total like cinephile, love watching movies, love discussing them. What are their meanings? What are their themes?
Yeah.
What could they have done better? What would I have enjoyed if they changed this? What I enjoyed about it? So many different things. I just love talking about movies. That's why we're here spending this much time talking about a movie.
I know. Which is like, I'm excited to on it because like obviously Nick has seen it with you. Adam has not. But he is excited to experience it, and then at least he expresses he's excited. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth. But like, I can't force that man to do shit he doesn't want to do. He's stubborn as fuck, as is your partner. So like, I'm excited for them to talk about their perspective because I don't want to put into their words what I think this film is giving them.
No.
But if
it necessarily gives them anything, right? Because like, again, this movie isn't for them.
No.
Ultimately, this movie was not released with men in mind.
No.
It was released with women in mind.
Yes.
Like, it was centering a different point of view. And I think that men can get value out of being forced to see a point of view that is different from theirs because they have spent their entire lives with almost every single piece of media following a man and his point of view and how he feels about things and how he reacts to the world and how the world reacts to him. Yeah. And for anybody who is willing to go to a movie and experience it and be open to the possibility of seeing a world from a different point of view, I think it holds value. Anybody who would refuse that, who is not open to new experiences or having their current state of mind questioned or challenged or their current ideas thought of, or even just just being able to enjoy watching a movie from a different perspective.
Yes.
If they're not open to that, then they're not going to get jack shit out of this movie. It's not going to fucking change them. It's probably just going to piss them off.
Yeah.
Because they're going to feel like the butt of the joke, but they're not going to understand that the reason why they're the butt of the joke is it's because we've been the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
We have had to sit by and watch women on TV be second-class citizens, be nothing more than plot devices.
Yeah.
We have done this since the beginning of film, basically.
Yeah.
And TV and everything. Maybe you take a chance at witnessing a film where you are the second-class citizen, where you are less than, which is a part of, I am sad that the Kens didn't get a happier ending. Am I happy that there's a movie where they are what we have been for a very long time? Yes. I am also happy about that. I'm also mad about it because I'm mad that we have been that way. And I'm mad that I want to have this be a thing that exists. Yeah. So it's a very complicated
contain multitudes.
I contain multitudes and I have a lot of feelings.
And they could contradict one another.
And they regularly contradict each other.
I know. But I guess I feel like we're nearing the end in a way. Long story short, if you've fucking stayed this long...
Bravo,
because there was
chaos.
no path. There was no path.
You definitely had to have watched the movie in order to even kind of understand this.
I know. Alison's probably gonna fucking delete tangents that we've repeated.
It's fine.
So I'm sorry to future Alison who's editing this. But this is what happens when we just have fun and just go with our feelings and try not to filter.
Yeah.
And when it's a joint effort. But speaking of joint efforts, our next one to come out for the Barbie movie is going to be our partners.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, both their episodes where they've talked about a specific character have done the best.
They bring a special energy, and I'm curious to see how they bring it together.
And I think that's because...
Without us.
I know. I think it's because for some people, having the perspective of a male talk about why a woman character is great is refreshing.
Yeah.
Women talk about male characters all the fucking time.
Yes.
It's great to have a man not sexualize a female character and talk about why that's cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's nice to... So I hope you look forward to it, because Alison and I are going to have to be here while they're recording.
God. And not talk.
Not talk. Alison herself has said she's cut out so much of things Nick has said that she's agreed with in topics.
Yes.
Just so Nick can say it. And then I don't know where my partner is going to go because he hasn't seen the film yet, because he's been waiting until he's like, okay, how fresh does this have to be in my mind? Which I understand. Okay, let's end it by saying which of our favorite, like, Barbie scenes there was. Like, end on a positive. Like, what was your favorite little thing from the film that, like, makes you joyful?
Okay. I am going to cheat and say two things. My favorite scene in the movie that, like, I think affected and touched me most emotionally was that, like, moment with Ruth, the creative Barbie, where they're kind of in that space in between where she does say that line of, like, we stand still so that they can move forward. Just the recognition of that, because I connected with it not as a mother, but as somebody who has begun spending a lot of my career working towards making a better path for women in trades, for making it easier, for finding new ways for us to be accepted, for getting to watch my trade and people's sense of what is, like, correct attitudes in the workplace. I enjoy watching that change, and I see it change, and I know that I am a part of that. And to know that that has made it easier for people after me. Yeah. And there's still work to do. But to be able to know that I get to pass that torch along too, that, like, I get to see other people who are younger than me coming in and know that the likelihood that they're going to face some of the things that I had to deal with is lower. That maybe they won't have to deal with certain things that hurt a lot to deal with, that I had to work really hard to get past. And to know that that's maybe something that I am helping to provide them a place where they won't have to face that is incredible. So, like, that scene, like, that's why that scene meant so much to me. Is like, that's so much of what we're doing as women in so many different aspects of life, is just trying to make the world a little bit better for the women who come after us. That's what I got out of that scene. So that scene was like...
That was your top?
It's just so good. And, like, the soft breath where she just breathes in, and it's like, I just need to show you what it means to live, because you're going to die and you're only going to have one chance.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my God, it was just such a beautiful scene for me to watch. But then my other favorite scene was where she goes up to the Weird House and she complains about how if her feet were shaped this way, she would never wear these shoes. And the offering of the Birkenstocks versus the high heels. And she's like, I'm going to take the high heels. And it's like, there's no choice. I lied to you.
Yeah, it's like, you need to take the Birkenstocks.
You have to take the Birkenstocks.
But it's funny because in the end, she wears pink Birkenstocks.
In the end, she wears pink Birkenstocks. And they're so cute. And so, like, I just love that scene because it's just like, God, like, I just would love to go back to this perfect world. But she doesn't have a choice because that's not reality. That's not what's happening. And it's I want to just hide in my bed and pretend that things aren't bad.
Yeah.
But I have to get out of bed and I have to live my life.
There's things I need to do.
And so, yeah, it's like I would never wear these shoes if my feet were shaped this way. It's just so funny. Just excellent.
That's a good one.
And of course, you get to watch Margot Robbie and Kate McKinnon play off of each other,
Fun.
which they're so fun
they're
together.
Fun together. I think for me, it was in my favorite part was a lot of things that popped up. So I'm not trying to do like two, but the way that I can explain it is both times when stereotypical Barbie leaves. The first one, everyone's saying goodbye because they know she's going to come back. She's going to go save the world or something, like do those things. And they're like, okay, like go on your adventure. But the second time, when everyone's realizing the stuff at the end of the film and President Barbie is like making different choices and everyone's like doing different paths, a lot of the Barbies are choosing to stay in Barbie Land. It's going to be a little bit different, but they're choosing to stay there, while stereotypical Barbie is like, I'm not. And I think a hard part about any female friendships is in a way like separating and departing from people you've spent your life with for so long. But I liked how it wasn't overtly like sad or anyone was negative about it because Barbie was changing.
Yeah.
And what I liked the most is because unfortunately I'm feeling very sad with how some of my family are not choosing to understand or respect my choices for not wanting to have kids. Mm-hmm. Because at one point I did.
Yeah.
And then I changed it. And in a way I'm being judged for that change. Or someone's being like, oh, but like you don't like being a mother, Fonda is great, or all this stuff. And like, I get it. If, you know, for some people, you want to be a grandparent. I understand certain things about life that you wish to have that experience, and I can't give that to you.
Yeah.
I am sorry. But in this film, to see other people be like, our friend is changing and making a choice that maybe we don't want to make, but is good for her, they're not hating her for it. They're not trying to make her change her choice. None of the other Barbies were in the scene where she changed. And she chose to leave. But she's not hating them for not. And she's not trying to convince. It was just really nice to sort of have a message be where, like, as women, we're not going to get mad at you for not being in my court of womanhood.
Yes.
And we're not going to shun you, or we're not going to, like, now we're just going to ignore you. Like, we don't talk about this weird aunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this person that's, like, breaking the mold, we're not going to talk about them anymore. It's like, we're going to acknowledge and respect their choice and just wish happiness upon them was like what I liked so much.
Yeah. And sometimes like you grow and change, and sometimes that means that people in your life aren't necessarily going to grow and change with you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't lessen their impact or how much you care for them or what they gave to your life.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're just happy for you.
I know. People come and go from your life whether you want them to or not. But to be like negative about it is just such a waste of energy. And so I really liked, I don't think that was like an inherent message the film was focusing on giving, but that's what I kind of got from those things that it showed was just like,
well, it
was just nice. I don't know. There were a lot of nice things.
That's the beauty of film and of books too, but specifically of like film, because that's what we're talking about. And I think it connects in a different way. It's a part of why I love movies so much.
Yeah.
Because everybody can take different things from it. You can take different things depending on when you watch the movie.
Yeah.
Depending on your where you are in like your mental space when watching a movie. Depending on so many different factors, you can take so many different things from movies. And even if that wasn't the intention of that scene, in a way it doesn't matter. Both a good and bad thing of creating something and putting it out in the world is that you don't control it anymore.
Yep.
All of these people made this movie. What people do with it, what people think of it, how they respond to it is their personal experience with that movie, and you cannot control that.
Yeah.
You don't get to tell them how they feel about your movie.
Or what they understand.
Or what they understand from it, or what they take from it. And some of it can be good things, and some of it will be bad things.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they made a great movie that's so fun. And I took great things from it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love talking about it. I'll watch it for years to come. I think it's a wonderful movie.
I do too. I think it's like a cult classic without being like low on funding. Does that make sense?
Without having had like many years of not making any money.
yeah, 100%. But that's why we both love the Barbie movie. Yeah. And like, maybe it sounded more like we hated things about it, but I think we were just trying to talk about like why we loved it was also because of the critical lens we could have of it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't perfect, which fits both of our lives of we're imperfect people and women, and like this encompasses life so much. Alison, is there anything you are excited about?
I am now in a book club. That's what I'm excited about. I'm in a book club, and it's just a spicy book club. We all read romance books. We get together every like 2 months or so it's super low commitment.
Yep.
The best part is we just have a group chat where we send each other funny memes about romance books. There's no judgment. It's hilarious. I've developed the reputation of being the person who reads the weirdest books. I am very proud of it. Every time I come back to book club, they are like, "What weird book did you read for this?"
You're the little weirdo.
For this one, I'm the little weirdo, and they find it very entertaining.
That's good. That's good.
And I enjoy talking about super weird books and just shocking them all. Some of them have sent me super weird books, and they're like, "Have you read this one?" Some of them I have read. Some of them I have not. Some of them I read because they were only 100 pages. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to read this, and I'm going to tell you all about it so that you don't have to read it. And it's fun, and it's a great little escape from reality for me.
We love a little reality escape.
Yes, we love a little reality escape. Yeah, so I'm excited about book club. It's great.
Good.
What about you?
Oh, I am watching season 2 of Reacher.
Oh, okay.
And okay, the reason I love it is because, one sec, I gotta look up the actor's name that plays Reacher. Alan Richson? Anyways, he plays Reacher, but he's been in so many freaking wild things. Wild. And the reason I love it is because I'm seeing him be a type of character I haven't seen him be before.
Okay.
Also, do you know he was in the Hunger Games for like a brief?
Oh,
he was
weird.
in the second movie.
Okay.
When they go back to the 75th Hunger Games and they're bringing all the like people that won, like that premise. He was from a group of people that won. He played like a champion.
Oh, interesting.
Or a tribute that won. Anyways, but I want to bring up his IMDb. Okay, Blue Mountain State. Have you heard of Blue Mountain State?
I have.
He was in it. And it's fucking like big beefy guy. Anyways, great acting.
It's just like a football.
Oh yeah. But he's like, his voice is kind of high, and he's kind of a bit of a. He's got like aspects to him where I'm like, do you like boys? Just like certain things, and I loved it, and like my partner loves it too because it's like seeing these two changes of like this guy can fucking slap a joke and talk about dicks and have a high-pitched voice and be a football player, but then he can be this like he can act
like hyper-masculine action star, right?
Yeah, and I love it. So I've been liking The Reacher, and it's actually made me want to read the books that they're based off of. Yeah. And I love all the female characters that are introduced in it.
Yes.
They're all very cool, strong women, and I like them. They're not perfect by any means, but I do like a lot of the women in the show and how they treat them in it. And so that's kind of what I've been enjoying right now is watching Reacher. Every time a new episode comes out, I'm like, how's this big, beefy man gonna fuck a tiny guy over with his hands and not in a kinky way? But he choked a guy out just to have him tell the truth.
The way that you phrased that was extremely sexual.
I'm sorry, it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. But it's just this big guy and he's so imposing. There's a scene where he just like starts choking a guy out and it's like, blink if you want to tell me the truth and I'll stop you from dying. The guy blinks and he still holds it there and the guy then panics and blinks a lot.
I mean, it's a little kinky.
It's a tiny bit kinky, but he's doing it in a way of like, anyways, it's just like, I get it. I phrased it in a way that's kinky, but 100% it's just like this guy is like, how's he gonna?
But objectively, the way that you described that scene, it's a little kinky.
No, I get it. I might be very vanilla in my life, but I understand that I will sometimes explain things. I'm like, oh, I said that in such a kinky way unintentionally. I feel like Matthew Mercer in D&D, when he's like, has to be careful about how he phrases something because everybody will
for sure pick it up because he plays with a bunch of children.
Yeah.
Because we are all children at heart. And
I am 100% a child at heart. That's why.
At everything.
I know. That's why it's so hard teaching sometimes, because I'll look at kids and I'll be like, oh my God, I want to laugh with you because this is hilarious, but I have to be an adult and I know this is actually not, it shouldn't be funny. Anyways, you can find Alison and I wherever podcasts can be found. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Blue Sky at Wench Bench Pod. And if you want to reach out to us, you can send us an email at wenchbenchpod@gmail.com. All the art for the Wench Bench was designed by the wonderful Tessa Joyce Riecken. You can find them on Twitter and Instagram at Werevile. Please stay tuned to when our significant others talk about Barbie.
Yes.
That one I feel like I might be quoting a lot for our Instagram, Twitter, real, whatever. It's going to be interesting. Social media
for
stuff.
Sure. Nick's trying to figure out how to not piss off a lot of people, and I'm really curious about what it is that he's going to be wanting to say that could piss off a lot of people, and I don't know if I care.
Oh!
I mean, like, about him pissing off people. Oh. I think it would be funny, actually. I've been encouraging him.
Of course you are.
Like, you should for sure say all of that and not edit anything.
Of course you are. Of course you are. We're just going to have to put, this is unfiltered. It's going to be an unfiltered episode.
Honestly, I don't edit these very much, so they're pretty unfiltered.
Fair. But anyways, thank you for listening.
Yes.
Go watch the Barbie movie.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. Then listen to the soundtrack.
Then listen to this episode again.
Yes. Then join us and disagree. Honestly, talk about it with us, please.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.